Il prossimo talk è un talk in inglese, sarà l'unico della giornata, quindi perdonatemi se cambio lingua adesso. So I would like to welcome to the stage our next speaker, Jèrèmie Jourdin. Welcome, Jèrèmie. Jèrèmie, hi. Welcome, Jèrèmie. So nice to have you here. Jèrèmie is CTO of Advens and is going to present a couple of very interesting topics today. Let's have a look. So talk number 1, from waves to web, unveiling the cybersecurity insights gained from offshore racing performance. Okay, I'm really intrigued by that. Is that a passion of yours?
Yeah, in fact, both subjects are related to what we do inside of Advanced Security Operation Center. So the first talk is much more about how we improve the boat in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of performance. And the second one is much more on how the SOC works, to make it simple.
Okay, so choose wisely, guys and girls. And let's have a look at the QR code that you can use for voting. Se non riuscite a inquadrare il QR code perché siete un po' lontani, andate su slido.com e inserite il numerino e vi permette di votare. Io mi sposto il più possibile senza cadere dal palco. Ok, looks like the first one is winning, but we're very close. Let's give it a few more seconds. Okay, the audience is clearly undecided on this one. I think we are getting there. Okay, I think we have a winner, so we can probably stop the vote. Thank you so much. Talk number 1, from waste to web. Over to you, Jèrèmie.
Thank you very much. Buongiorno a tutti. So as you can hear, I will speak in English. Sorry about that. I'm very happy to discuss about this subject because it's quite uncommon to talk about sport, to talk about offshore racing in a cybersecurity conference. But as I seen that the talk number 2 was close to the talk number 1, I will also give you some insight about the Advens SOC. So a couple of words of me, but on Advens. Advens is a European cybersecurity group. We start from France, but now we well established also in Spain, Italy, Germany. We have also some offices in Canada and in Tahiti to have a full hour coverage for our security operations center. And I'm the CTO and the head of innovation or R&D team. I'm based in France, in the north of France. I used to be a pen tester for more than 10 years, and I get bored to always hacking system and always finding vulnerabilities, and I want to go to the other side to help develop and secure systems. So that's why now I work inside the Advens operating center. So let's talk about the racing boats. You may know that today thousands of people have already climbed Mount Everest. It's still a great exploit, but it became less uncommon. Every year we have new people going on the roof of the world. We have right now more than 600 people that have already go to space. Again, it's quite uncommon, but it began to be a lot of people that have already been in space. And you have to know that only a few hundred of sailors have already achieved what we call the Vendée Globe. Okay, so the Vendée Globe is an offshore race all around the world. So it starts from France, in the Les Sables d'Olonne in France. They descend to the south of the planet, and they go, a full turn around the planet. So best of them will achieve this journey in around 80 days. Half of the sailors never finish the race because either they broke the boat, either because they abandoned for any kind of reason. So it's very, very tough. It's very, very hard. and Advens is sponsoring a boat because what I forgot to say about Advens is, okay, we are a cybersecurity expert, we do everything about security, but we are also greatly engaged into people on planet. So we have several projects to help people, for instance, to get a job, and for planet we have various actions, and among of all the action we promote, we have a sponsorship of 2 boats engaged into the Vendée Globe. So, what's the matter with cybersecurity? So this is what we call an IMOCA. So an IMOCA is a boat, it's a boat category. To give you some figures, the weight of an IMOCA is around 10 tons, okay? The length of the boat is around 20 meters, and the height is around 30 meters, okay? It can go up to, I will speak into kilometers per hour, it's easy to understand, but the speed of the boat is around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, okay? So imagine a big truck in the middle of the ocean. It is just amazing. What do we find inside the IMOCA? So first, IMOCA are prototype, okay? All IMOCA are special. These are the really prototype, fully made of carbon and fully autonomous in terms of energy. So, related what you may know, it's much more like, you know, a small factory, everything inside the boat. You have diesel engine, coupled with alternators to recharge the battery. We have solar panel, we have PLC, we have computers, we have a lot of sensors. I will talk a little more about sensors later. We have, of course, an autopilot because you cannot bar the boat during 80 days. It is not possible, so everything is automated and you have just to configure the pilot to navigate. So in fact, you are fully dependent of the technology on board to win the race. And last but not least, we also have several high-speed satellite connections. A few years before, we were just using basic satellite connection with very low the transfer rate. So in terms of cybersecurity, you still may try to hack the boat, but was not very comfortable for the hackers because debit was very slow. Now we have Starlink high-speed internet connection. Game is changing because you can do everything. For the story, we had, you know, a football match a couple of weeks ago for the European Champions League, and Thomas, the skipper, was watching the football match inside Earth's boat in the middle of the race. So it's crazy, but we have very high speed. So speed increase the risk of cybersecurity problem. So in terms of cybersecurity, what do we have to deal with? First, intrusion from the internet, as I just said. It is not the higher risk. Why? Because it's quite easy to block any kind of incoming connection. But the skipper needs to go on the internet to download Meteo files, to exchange email with family, with onboard team, technical team, stuff like that. So it's easy to imagine a malware infection, for instance, and even a direct intrusion is still always possible. We also have specific risk to cover when the boat is moored at the dock. That is to say, you know, before the race, all the boats are at the dock and people can come around. And of course, inside the boat, we have Wi-Fi network, we have Bluetooth devices. So it's hard to protect that because it's widely open, and we have to be sure that no one is going to hack the system from this way. Malware function, of course. And we need to, you know, in cybersecurity, you have several items, confidentiality, availability, etc., integrity. High availability of the safety mechanism are a real state for cybersecurity and more for safety, okay, inside the boat. So we need to take care of that. So short story to, okay, what we did at Advens. We started the project at Advens in 2020. I received a call of our president telling me, hey, Jèrèmie, I just bought a boat. Please come to Lorient and please help me secure the boat. But I don't know how boat is working. So, okay, I go inside the boat. What we have? So we have a network, fully flat network with everything mixed, autopilot, PC, communication system, satellite system. Everything was flat, so of course a nightmare in terms of security, but easy part, we all know that, okay, we do some switches, VLAN, segmentation, firewall, it was not a big deal. Okay, so we create navigation system, a zone, a communication zone, a OT zone, a gray zone where we don't know stuff, we put everything in the gray zone, but it's quite easy to have control over the device just by having a strong segmentation. Of course, we try to reduce the attack surface by disabling non-essential services. Of course, we try to do some patch management, and of course to secure the PC. The PC is just a Windows PC, so basically we just deploy endpoint detection and response solution. It was quite easy to on the nose to secure. Easy. Then we try to say, okay guys, default password or no password at all is not a good solution, especially when you have services available from Wi-Fi, for instance. Not so easy when you have industrial devices that are not designed to handle password management. How can you deal with that? Okay, so this was a problem. So of course, we tried to work with vendors to help them to improve their system, but it was quite complicated. So this kind of device were put in a very special DMZ inside the network, so that even if they are compromised, there is no way they can interfere into the navigation system. Because as you understand, the most critical part of the network is the navigation system. Okay, even if you have a compromission in the communication, of course it will be dramatic, but less dramatic that if someone takes the control of the navigation system. For instance, the autopilot, it can be very dangerous if the autopilot take a wrong decision. If you change the keeper in the hard way, it can be dangerous for the keeper. You may have stronger injuries. But well, anyway, OS operating system on service hardening. What do we find? I speak about Windows, not a big deal. We find Linux, you know, there is a beautiful web interface, and on top of it, beyond that, beyond the scene, we find SSH access, telnet access, so we was able to enter into the system. We find some systems that were not maintained for more than 15 years. Linux 2.4, for instance. How can we secure that? Okay, to make it simple, we can't. So thanks by services hardening, we were able to mitigate the risk, but it's impossible to eliminate all the risk. Okay, again, we have to discuss with vendor. We have to tell them it's not a good idea to have so old system. So please do the upgrade, but it's quite complicated for some vendor. So not perfect science at this point. Penetration test. Awful. I will explain two stories. So first one, we discovered that several devices were managed from the cloud. I will tell a little more about that just before. So, okay, which is a vendor? Okay, so well-known vendor. Okay, let's just scan the internet, scan the network domain of the vendor. Do not be too aggressive, just a simple discovery. What we find in the boat, deprecation OS, misconfigured services, we find the same on the cloud. Okay, so it was quite easy to hack the cloud. And once you have the cloud, you hack the cloud, you may be able to get data from some boats. Okay, so not a big deal. We were not able to enter into the boat, but we have some kind of telemetry that coming from the cloud. So we should have, we could have access to telemetry information. Next story. We had some device inside the boat. Okay, as I explained before, quite easy to exploit. Just use Metasploit. Just use a well-known exploit on, don't remember, FTPD service, SSH service, stuff like that. Easy to hack. And what we discover on roughly 50% of equipment is that, okay, some equipment was just sending telemetry to the ground, okay, but others maintain tunnels, VPN tunnels, either through SSH, either through IPsec. Problem is, we hack the box, we find the key, we are able to establish the tunnel. And in this particular case, as soon as we are on the cloud side, we were able to reverse the tunnel. So it's possible to compromise not only our boat, but potentially all the float. This began to be a real issue. To make it simple, for some technology vendors, we totally remove the technology from the boat. We ask the skipper, hey Thomas, you have to choose. Either you want to win the race without any kind of IT security issue, either you take the risk to be hacked, and you take the risk to lose the race because you will, for instance, not be able to go to the internet and download your Meteo file. So it chose to listen us, and it's a good news because we eliminated some kind of technology on board. But yeah, to be honest, it's quite the same in the OT, IoT field. They have almost 10 years, they are 10 years late of current security technology we can do today. So, as a summary, what we find are coded login password, various remote code execution. Funny things, many equipment are black box. We find a lot of, plastic devices. We ask the team, what is it? Oh, it is for the radar. Oh, it is for the OFNI system. OFNI stands for, on the sea, there's a lot of containers, whales on the boat can impact. So they have detection system based on LiDAR, based on the thermal camera, so they have a lot of system of safety like that. And often this system comes with this kind of box. And at the beginning of the securing processes, I was doing, network mapping, and I tell to the team, okay, I found the PC, I found the pilot, I found the navigation unit, but there is a 10 list of equipment. What are they? No, Jèrèmie, there's no equipment. I'm sure. And map is telling me that you have a web server, you have SSH, etc. So we look around the boat and we use a screwdriver and we start to open this kind of box. And often we find Raspberry Pi, default password, unsecured. And this was this kind of devices that were connected to the cloud without any knowledge for the technical team of the boat. So the guys integrate technology, but there is no explanation on how it works and what the device has really doing. So many equipment are black box, and it is a very problem. And I think I already, also we find some kind of issue because there are some good applications, some good sensor product, but very poorly coded. So, for instance, by just doing, we called about Wireshark just before, by just sniffing the network, you see erratic network connection. And it's quite easy to provoke denial of service, for instance, just by sending spoof header of a particularly crafted packet. It's quite easy to make some equipment crash. Almost. Okay. So, at this point, we have a almost secure boat. Okay. Of course, we cannot secure everything, as you understand, and also don't forget that the sailor is not an IT guy, he's not a cybersecurity specialist, he's a sailor, and his job is to sail, so we cannot put too much constraint because the boat needs to be maneuverable. Inside the boat, you also have more than 200 of various sensors. We have wind sensors, we have compass, we have loads. Loads sensors are very important for the IMOCA because, as I said before, it is fully made of carbon, so you have fiber, optical all around the boat. And load sensor I use to measure, the deformation of the carbon in order to help prevent, to detect carbon break. So we have a sensor that works more than 100 hertz. So every second on the boat, we have more than 12,000 events that are generated by the system. And the guy asked Advens, okay guys, we have a lot of data. We do data analysis after the race, but would it be possible to have some kind of a real-time analysis system that will help us to detect safety issue, to detect anomaly, to detect bad settings? Okay, no, we don't have. Oh, wait, we have a SOC. Inside the SOC, this is exactly what we are doing for cybersecurity. What a SOC is doing? A SOC is doing detection. Okay, how it works? The goal of the SOC is, okay, we collect event, we collect logs, we collect metrics, we collect pick up, network capture, anything. On top of that, we have detection engine based on rules, based on machine learning, based on artificial intelligence, whatever. And the objective of the SOC is to detect an anomaly, a threat, a bad guy, whenever you want, to raise an alert, and to react. Well, it's the same for the boat. So we just use exactly the same technology that you are using in Advanced Security Operations Center, and you put it inside the boat. So of course, in the boat, we cannot plug tens, dozens of servers with huge NoSQL databases. It's not possible. So what we do, we take our collector. You have to know that at Advens, we develop some kind of collectors. It is open source. I will tell you that a few moments. But we put that onto a small ARM-based computer. You know, it's not like a Raspberry. It's much more powerful, but it's quite the same. It is based on ARM. And it allows us to collect in real time all the sensor of the boat. We normalize the data, and we are able to add detection rules on top of it in order to detect bad settings or to detect anomaly in terms of loads, for example. So exactly the same thing. It's totally the same operating system. So the operating system is based on a hardened version of FreeBSD. It is totally open source. You can download it on the virtualproject.org's website. Of course, everything is not open source. So what we do and how it works, we have a hardened BSD system. And on top of it, we are using the rsyslog framework. So many you know rsyslog as a log solution, but in fact, it is a very powerful, it is a full log framework. And on top of rsyslog, we develop some kind of modules. Advens is the official maintainer of rsyslog. We develop a lot of things around MongoDB, around Redis, around DGA. We also have a neural network running inside rsyslog in order to detect, for instance, connection to C2C for malware detection. So in the SOC, we do normalization. Normalization is a very important process. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the goal of the appliances is to transform raw data into normalized data. It is a very, very important concept for my SOC. Why? Because 10 years ago, we made the decision to build the SOC on top of a machine learning system. And normalization is key whenever you want to do data science. Because, just to give you one example, without normalization, if you have to write detection rules, you have to adapt your rules based on the kind of logs you will receive. With normalization, you don't care. I will take an example with a firewall. Okay, you have a checkpoint firewall, you have a storm shield firewall. At the end, when the log has been processed by the appliance, we remove the storm shield of checkpoint information. It is not relevant. All we have to know is, okay, these are firewall logs. And as soon as we have a detection rules that is able to deal with firewall logs, as soon as we will add new technology, we don't have to write any rules, because it's up to the appliance to transform the raw events to a firewall logs. Okay, so we use the same technology on board. So in the SOC, we use the elastic command schema to normalize our logs. In the boat, we created a selling normalization format. It does not exist in selling. So again, we are discussing with vendors so they can adopt our format because it's allowing the bot to do very interesting things such as correlation. Without a strong normalization model, it's quite complex to have a strong correlation system. In the SOC, we are enriching the logs in a fully real-time manner, thanks to rsyslog framework plus our development. On the boat, we won't add threat intelligence. There is no need for that, but we will add context. That is to say, okay, I have a data coming from a sensor, and in real time, I will add information on top of that. Which sensor? What is its voltage? What is its latest known value? So, same concept by my SOC, and again, very important, we are doing machine learning on AI. We try to put a lot of things in the logs. Why? Because it's easier when you have to do correlation after, and when an alert pops, you have already in the alert a lot of context, and it helps the analyst to be better in terms of remediation, because he already have anything he has to know just by reading the logs. And again, we are not doing threat detection inside the boat, but as I said before, we will use embedded algorithm to detect anomaly. So rather the same of what we are doing at in MySoc. I think it's. I don't know if it works. Or if, am I on the last slide or is there? Okay, sorry. Okay, so what are the parallels? It's the same in terms of event connection on the processing pipelines. It's the same in terms of real-time correlation on anomaly detection. It's quite the same in terms of pen test or hardening. Yes, I didn't talk about reverse engineering, but it was a very funny part because we had to plug, as you heard, our appliance. We are literally able to collect everything from everywhere. But in order to do that, we have to understand the protocol of the devices. So we call the vendors. Hey guys, please help us to collect your event. So some of them was very cooperative. Here is the API. Here is the documentation, no problem. Some tell us, no, it is not possible, we don't want you to do that, and you won't be able to do that. Okay, challenge accepted. We call our friend is the audit teams, and guys reverse all the protocols, so no big deal, no encryption. It was just obfuscation, stuff like that. So, but it was very interesting because we had to use reverse engineering technical to be able to connect to various devices. And as I said before, as soon as we understand the protocol, we had the protocol support inside our appliance, and we are able to gather data. And the funny story is that after we do the reverse engineering, after we do the data exploitation, and after we do the the web interface to restitute the data, at the end we have a better product than the original one. So it's quite funny. They should have listened us before, but whatever. Yes, very important thing also. Same parallels between the SOC and the boat is that we have data scientists involved. In my SOC, even if we are a cybersecurity expert, inside the SOC you have a red team, the guy who attacks, you have the blue team, the guy who defends. But blue teamers inside the SOC are security specialists. They are not developers, they are not data scientists. So in the SOC we have at the beginning, we had a problem. Say, okay, we bring them artificial intelligence tools, we bring them neural networks, but guys, how can I use that? So rapidly, we create a data scientist team that helps the blue team to create some detection as code rules. And we had to do the same for the boat. For the boat, we need to understand the data. You need to understand the business of the sailors. You need to understand what is important for him, and we need to set up specific algorithm on top of it. I should have. I will take just little time to talk about that because it was in the second talk, but I think it's important that I focus on it right now. In cybersecurity, almost everything since 30 years is a matter of rules. You have detection rules, you have firewall rules, you have IDS, EPS, X, whatever you want, rules, etc. Problem with rules, there are two problems. First, in order to write rules, you need to know the threat. Okay? So it's quite complicated in cybersecurity to pretend knowing all the threats, so to pretend be able to write all the rules. First point. Next, with rules, we also have a threshold problem. Okay, when you write the rules, you have to detect. But do you want to detect at 10? Do you want to detect at, I don't know. Okay, if you put a threshold at 10 and the bad guy is attacking you at 9, the rules will never raise. I don't know for you, but 9 out of 10 is dangerous. So we should be, okay. So at the beginning, we know that, and that's why we try to not use root at all in the Advens SOC. Of course, we have rules, but it's no more than 25%. Everything is code. In the Advens SOC, in the boat, everything is code. When an analyst needs to write a detection rules, in fact, is writing a Python algorithm. Okay, and the Python algorithm are working on top of machine learning framework. I don't know if you know Keras, TensorFlow, Mistral, Meta, Llama model, stuff like that, but everything is Python. Okay, so again, we use the Python technology we had in the SOC to put the Python detection system into the boat. Yes, and we in the SOC we have the ability to respond, okay, because the SOC detect, but what is expected is that the SOC block, react, and response. Unfortunately, we can't do that in the boat. It is forbidden by the regulation. So on the boat, the only thing we can do is to detect, to raise an alarm, but let the skipper take the decision. But it won't be so hard because in the SOC, we have some kind of source system or some kind of generative AI that can take decision based on the feedback you give. In the boat, it is not possible for the moment. I mainly explain how the SOC helps the boat, but we also have some example on how the boat helps the SOC. For instance, with the appliances, it is thanks to the boat that we have right now a fully operating FreeBSD system running on top of ARM. In order to achieve that, we had to develop some FreeBSD kernel driver because the hardware on which we were running in the boat was not fully supported by BSD. It is a great thing for the SOC because it allows us to validate a new generation of appliance. Right now we are running on a big server on the AMD Intel, and the next generation of our appliance will be fully running on the ARM for two reasons. It's as performant as the previous system, but it consumes less power. Another lesson learned from the boat is we are able to raise our power consumption by maintaining our compute capabilities thanks to ARM devices. We will never have achieved this without the work done on the boat. And as a conclusion, what we can say, I think that I've already said everything. So IT is invading the city in this OT world. It is exactly the same as we've seen 15 years before when, in the industry, you have all the old systems that are going to move to the internet, and problem is that automatician sellers, okay, they are not IT specialists, they are not cybersecurity specialists, and they do the same mistake. When they try to modernize their solution, they had new vulnerabilities, and it's quite the same story for the boat. I think it's okay, already talk about that. And it was a part about the algorithm. Yes, maybe a last final point. Working in the boat, this is some kind of interface we can produce. Again, it uses the same reporting technology we use in MySOC. Last word is to say that we have to change our coding practice because when we do IT, you don't care to have a vital system running 24 hours. If you have a problem, you reboot, stuff like that. We cannot do that in the boat. So in the boat, the code is much more simpler, but is much more robust. And it was a great lesson we learned also by developing software for the boat. And that's all guys. Grazie per l'attention, and thank you very much.